Good morning, and thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea right here on CTV, and I hope you're having a lovely time with us. Well, it's time for Our Views. My name is Apollo Sarah, and in studio with me are my colleagues Sandra Cope and Shivan Nauma. How are you, ladies?
Good. How are you?
Post-Valentine's Day. Shivan, did you finally get a
Shivan
date?
is even tired.
Yes, I'm even tired.
Too much enjoyment.
Too much enjoyment. I got so much love from my family. My Valentine yesterday was actually my father, and he showered me with love.
Hey, Mama.
Yep, he did.
Hey, Mama. Sounds really good. Anyway, let's move on. Why we are here today. Why we're here today is to discuss, our topic of discussion today is something that triggered me. I don't know if you're aware, but are you following the news on Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, Ye's divorce? How messy it's getting at their separation. So that's what triggered me today, and I asked the question on our social media: how can you co-parent? How can you ably co-parent with a toxic ex? Because since their split, they have been married nearly 7 years, and their divorce rumors started on January 5th of 2021, when Kim filed for divorce. And that was after Kanye West's rampage at his presidential campaigns, when he was talking about how she was going to abort their oldest child. Yes. I think for her right there, that was the final straw. She's like, I can't deal with this anymore. So she went on to file for divorce. She also went on to file in court so that she can drop the name West and be declared single, as their divorce process is still ongoing. So since then, Kanye West has gone on a rampage on social media, insulting her current boyfriend, you know, calling him names. He's all over the place. He's talking about how Kim is trying to, you know, brainwash their kids. He says that he brought the black culture to their family and he can take it away. It is a mess. But we have also seen a number of other very messy divorces in our own public scene here in Uganda, with Julie Mutesasira and her ex-husband, that is Pastor Stephen Mutesasira. They were married for over 10 years. They split, divorced in 2016. She later moved to Canada in 2017. But also that divorce was very messy, and it involved the children as well. We are also seeing Pastor Aloysius Bujingo and his estranged ex-wife, that is Teddy Bujingo. The situation is also just as messy. So today I want us to talk about co-parenting with a toxic ex. Do you think it's possible?
I think it's possible. I think it is possible, but I think there are so many things to consider. First of all, you need to communicate effectively and strategically. You know how somebody tries to rattle you, and then you send like an essay back?
Yes.
Don't be preachy or anything. Just keep it about the kids. Remember, now the kids are the ones that are actually keeping you in communication. So communicate about the kids. Communicate about them. Be precise, concise. Keep emotions out of it. Keep logic into it. Yeah? Just be like that. And also, don't be reactive.
Yes.
Because they know what buttons to press. They know how to get under your skin. So don't be reactive. Don't give that person that kind of power over you.
Yes.
Take the high road. Don't be reactive. And also keep the kids out of it. Keep the kids out of it, and do not even be, do you know what happens? Like, these toxic exes, what they can do is they can really get under your skin, like maybe blow up your phone, call you names and everything. But in front of the kids, they really pretend.
That is not true, because there are some exes who will blatantly abuse you, batter you, insult you, and humiliate you in front of your children. And it's even worse sometimes when they come and take the kids and it's their turn to, you know, watch the kids or maybe spend time with the children. They insult you in front of your children. And I have friends who have, you know, told me and come crying and saying that, can you imagine, my child said to me that the father of my child called me either a prostitute or a drunk, or said all these nasty things about me. Sometimes there are no boundaries whatsoever, and you don't know how far a toxic ex can go. You know?
Yes.
Shivan, do you think it is possible?
No, it's not. For the mere fact that you've added the word toxic to this person, you've he or she is no longer an ex, they are now a toxic ex. I do not think it's possible, because come so many things. I mean, you're already co-parenting, you're bringing little people into this world. They are the next generation of tomorrow. What kind of traits or what kind of family do you want them to grow up in? So if your ex is being toxic, either cut them off. But you know, it gets me thinking. It's very funny how 1 minute all the lovebirds are together. You were talking about Kanye West. I mean, 1 minute you're all lovey-dovey, and then 2 years, 5 years, 6 down the road, you have fallen out, and it's just crazy. You cannot even sit on a round table and discuss. It brings me to the question, where did the love go? Put aside your differences. I think it's very important that you put aside your differences, and at the end of the day, you are looking towards achieving a common goal, which is making sure that your children have a mother figure and a father figure in the family. However, if your ex is proving toxic, run for your life, because you definitely do not want those bad traits and toxicity to rub off your child the wrong way. And you do not want your child thinking less of you because of what your ex is constantly saying about you. So the best that you can do is, yes, he can be in the child's life, but not as constant as he ought to be.
Listen, when it comes to raising children, it is very tricky, because the ideal environment to raise a child in is a home where there's a father and a mother, and you have a beautiful nuclear family. But now we are here talking about co-parenting with experts, because exes, because that is not usually the case. Well, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and this was a survey that was done in 2018, did say that 17% of children aged between 0 to 14 years old are living in single-parent households worldwide, and 88.8% of these households are led by single women. And the statistics in Uganda shows that about 50% of households in Uganda are led by single mothers who are raising their children. So my question is, where are the fathers? And also divorce rates in the country, in Uganda specifically, leave alone worldwide after the pandemic, but Uganda specifically is also on the rise. There isn't a, specific number to it, but it is on the rise. And we can see the stories in the media, in our workplaces, with our friends, in our circles. It is really going up really high every day. My question is, how do we stop this from happening? Because you just mentioned that you have to put your differences aside to, cater to the children. Well, that is easier said than done.
Well, you also made a statement and you said that that is the ideal. I mean, the ideal is to raise a child with a mother and father. However, the statistics have clearly shown that, especially in Uganda, it is not possible. World over, we have so many single mothers. Of course, we do have single fathers, but the higher statistics show that actually most children are raised by single mothers. So from the word get-go, is this the person that you want to spend your life with?
But you don't know when you're receiving flowers on Valentine's Day.
Exactly. That is where we have it all wrong. You walk down the aisle with someone you're not sure about. Even when you're sure about them, the question is, are you both going to be mature enough to have civil conversations that even after you have divorced, you're able to put your children first before anything else? Because at the end of the day, it's not about you, daddy. It's not about you, mommy. No, it's about Ethan. It's about this little boy who is constantly watching his mother being beaten. It's about this little boy who's constantly watching his father coming back home drunk. It is about him. What kind of man, what kind of husband are you raising for the next generation? That is the question that you see, even as you date, these signs sometimes will come up. You'll always see someone either who is hostile, who is violent, maybe who is not understanding. And we, as women or as men, okay, for most women, we ignore these red flags and we continue making excuses for these men. And when things finally erupt in our faces, we're now running for dear life. But hey, guess what? That is the kind of life that you have chosen for yourself. And regardless of the fact whether your ex is toxic or not, your child doesn't want to know that. All he wants or all she wants is to have motherly love and is to have fatherly love. So I would ask you, who is watching this morning, the person that you're dating, the person that you want to walk down the aisle with, are they mature enough that if you had confrontations, if you had issues, they would put that aside and consider the children first? If not, walk.
Walk with your child?
Walk, if you must, please.
Because there's a huge trend, and many times we see this on social media. Like, for instance, Kanye West went on a whole Instagram rant talking about how Kim is refusing him from seeing his children. But would you blame her?
No,
if
I
he's
wouldn't.
openly and publicly attacking her and her new relationship on on social media in front of everybody. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal came out to make the comment and say that he doesn't feel sorry for him because he's putting his business out there on social media. And well, Shaquille O'Neal and his ex-wife Shauna also are divorced. They have 3 children together. However, he goes on to say that regardless of whether me and my ex-wife have differences, we never put our business on social media and we always put our children first. So would you blame a woman when she's keeping the children away from a volatile ex?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't blame a woman who's keeping her children away.
Well, most men would say that she's being spiteful, she's being bitter, she's trying to get back at him by, keeping the children away.
Well, she must have a good reason. And for Kim's case here, I think it's a very, very good reason. I even think she stayed in that marriage way too long. Yes? So he's a loose cannon. He's a loose cannon, Kanye. And I would definitely do that. But I think what leads to these kinds of things, I feel people are in love with love. They're not in love with each other. They're in love with love, the idea of being
love,
together.
yes.
You saw even how they got together, how it was, the proposal was a spectacle. He flew his family out and everything. And then you don't really get time to know this person. You don't really get to know it. Because when people think about love, love is not butterflies. Yes, it is butterflies when it's beginning. But I remember someone told me that I asked about her husband. He's not coming for dinner, and she told me, darling, love ekuze. That the love grows. They've been together for long. And that really, I thought it was very profound, because when you're with someone, it's not butterflies and honeymoon phase.
Yes.
It is even beyond things that you would think would be unforgivable. You would forgive this person, even if you knew. Love is a very strong emotion. It can make you do a lot of things. Many people don't understand this. Love is even saying, you know what, okay, this is not working out, but if you need me, I'm going to be there.
Yes.
I will be there. Like, tell me what I need to do. I'm going to be there.
Yes.
But we don't have to be together for that.
Yes.
But there is still that love. I feel that's what love is. I think most people think love is like once the excitement has died out and you disagree, then you no longer love each other. Yes, you can agree to disagree and you can still love each other. You might not still be in love with each other, but you can choose to love each other.
And what about the children? How do they come into this equation? So are you saying the parents don't have to even like each other to be able to be parents to their kids?
Well, if the person is toxic,
yes,
clearly they are hating, or they are spewing hate, like how Kanye is doing to Kim.
Yeah.
There is no love in that. So what I'm saying is choose to love each other, even if you're not in love with each other. For the sake of your children, for the sake of your family, if you ever loved each other,
yes,
choose that.
Yeah.
Be mature about it. Raise the children and just do that. You don't have to agree to everything. Yes. But you can live in peace. You can choose love.
There's a time I posted something on my social media. I posted that we need our fathers. We need the fathers of our children in our homes, because if our children don't have their fathers in the homes, they're going to find fathers on the streets. And what I meant by that is that your children are going to get influence from the wrong people out there. That may, throw them into drug addiction or criminality, criminal behavior, or it's just going to sway them away from the values and principles that you'd want to instill them. So for me, I 1000% believe that the most ideal place for children to be raised is in a home with both their father and their mother. But let me backtrack a bit. Co-parenting is a post-divorce parenting arrangement in which both parents continue to jointly participate in their children's upbringing and activities. And co-parenting, like I said, is for two people who have some common sense in their head. Let me just put it out straight like that. When you know that regardless of my feelings to the other parent, I don't have to like you. I don't have to see you. Okay, I don't have to talk to you, but I need to see my children and I need to be a part of their life. Now, for a lot of situations, especially with men in general, a lot of men, don't come for me, some men, when they split with their, wife or partner, they take that as an opportunity to now abscond from responsibility or use that against you so that they can control you in a certain type of way. You call for school fees and it's like, I'm not going to give you school fees until you sleep with me first. the men who are doing this. I am in a single mothers group, and when I hear the stories that other single mothers are going through, it just baffles me. There's a lady, a friend of mine I went to school with, she got pregnant, she conceived first year of campus, and when she told the man responsible that she was pregnant, that's the last time she saw and heard from him. She doesn't know if it was just a coincidence that he happened to be leaving jobs and shifting his house. Wow. Last time. Her son is 10 years old now. Very handsome little boy. Never seen. Another lady in my group keeps on telling me that to get money from the father of her child, it's like pulling teeth with your bare hands. Pulling teeth out of your mouth.
Not shaking teeth.
Wow.
Not shaking, like because she has to justify, she has to send receipts. It is a very difficult process. Even school fees. Can't you find a cheaper school? I don't have money, and all that. Moving on to the other, now this is the opposite of parallel parenting, and it's called parallel parenting. And parallel parenting is in many ways the opposite of co-parenting, when parents are constantly in conflict and unable to communicate effectively. Now that is what a lot of people are going through right now. That is parallel parenting. You shouldn't say I'm co-parenting with my toxic ex. You are parallel parenting. Yeah, parallel parenting. And in this type of parenting, the parents choose to one, live separately and allocate days when they can spend time with their children and do everything necessary to avoid each other, to the point of, say, having a bank account where you put fees, or using a third party to come and always to mediate and always be present when you're talking to your children. So ladies, I would like to ask, do you have any advice for anybody who is going through a difficult situation? Because the parents who are co-parenting probably have it, you know, all together. For instance, Shaquille O'Neal has said it. Even Kevin Hart talks about his ex-wife a number of times and talks about how they co-parent, because now his two children with his ex-wife are living with him and his current wife, but they, you know, seem to be in a good way, in a good place. A number of other, you know, celebrity couples are, you know, in a good place. Before Zari's ex-husband passed away, they were also in a good place, you know, co-parenting. Her and Diamond Platnumz have been seen in public, you know, during the festive holidays. They were together, you know, enjoying life and enjoying, you know, being parents and whatnot. Actually, there were rumors that they were getting back together. So what advice would you give people who are struggling with their toxic exes?
I think you need to know when to walk away. I would advise that, because you do not want certain traits, your kids to catch on to certain traits. They're actually going to be, it would really affect them, their self-esteem, and it wouldn't be a good thing. So I think it's better to be a single parent and in a healthy environment than trying to force that. Of course, yes, that like what you say, that is the ideal. Yeah. But if it's not working, then you do not want those kind of traits or your kids to see that. They will suffer from a lot of trauma, and it will affect them as adults, and it will affect their relationships with the opposite sex later on in life. Yes.
And what about you, Shivani?
I would say for someone who is, you know, dealing with toxic exes, be mature about it, you know. This is the person that you chose to do life with, but somehow it did not work out, so be mature about it. At the end of the day, your children should come as priority, regardless of your differences. Because you do not want your child growing up and saying, oh, I am like this because mommy and daddy behaved like this. Do not be the reason as to why your child has a negative experience or a bad experience about what family or what marriage or a relationship should be like. They should be able to know that even when mommy and daddy are not able to live together, or when they are separated, when it comes to me, I know I am loved. So make sure that your child is constantly feels that they are loved, because for very many children that have either grown up with single moms and single dads, and statistics do show that 80% of them feel that they are not loved. So constantly make sure that your child knows that regardless of what's going on between the two of you, you still love them equally.
Exactly. That is very important. And one of the reasons as to why there are high, divorce rates or separation rates in the country is because one of them, besides COVID-19, and maybe high fuel prices, that was a joke, very distasteful. But anyway, one of the reasons is because a lot of men are now starting to abscond from their responsibility of financially providing for their children. As we all know that finances can impact a household immensely. Immensely. Money is very important. It is not a joke because to have children is not cheap. But on the flip side, I would also like to send a caution to the ladies watching. Okay? You can choose a partner for yourself, but your children cannot choose a father for themselves. So choose wisely, because the man you choose to lay down with and have children with is going to affect you in every way, full circle. Mentally, psychologically, emotionally, financially. He is going to impact your life full circle, so choose wisely. Don't go for looks. Do not date your purpose and not your preference. That is very important. Purpose is a man who you see is going to be a good father, who is, family oriented. Another one is a man who can cultivate resources, because as a parent, one thing you cannot afford to say is, I don't have money. You cannot afford to say that. Your child is ill, your child is not well, I don't have money. Okay, so we wait until when? Next month, when you have money to take them to hospital? I know the issue of co-parenting can be very difficult because it's a situation that I am in, and it's a situation that it took me a long time to find, finally land my footing. And for me, as a single mom, my issue was the father of my child has to be in my son's life. And that is what I pushed for a very long time. And I must admit, sometimes I got too aggressive and too forceful that it kind of repelled him, which caused me to have resentment. You understand? So I needed to start and, taking it easy and allowing it to happen at its own time. My sister told me this, Sarah, it is not your responsibility to create that relationship. All you can do is aid it when you asked for that help, but it is not your responsibility. He knows where his child is. He knows how to find his child. Why are you the one going to collect him to come? Until that sank into my head, I took several sips and started taking my tea. But before I move on, I would like to give you some ways in which you can co-parent with a toxic ex. And number one, co-parenting requires shared effort and shared intent. If you do not have the same effort and shared intent, it can never work. Number two, recognize the dynamic and recognize the cycle. If they are continuously insulting you and just beating down on your emotions and also just harming your child in the long run, exit that situation. Establish new boundaries. If, for instance, set times in which they are supposed to come and visit. Say, for instance, you cannot come before 6 a.m. and you can't come after 6 p.m. Period. And you also have to have a court order filed if you need one, in case your ex continues to insult you in public and make defamatory statements. You can also file a court order. And if you have a court order, expect them to break that rule or break that law. So have a good lawyer on you in the short run. And let's get some responses from social media. First tweet comes in from Chris Mel Harris, and it says, you can only live with your toxic ex through prayer and living biblically. Absolutely. Just put them in your prayers. Leave it to God, because if you put it in your hands, you may end up in jail. Okay? Just leave it to God. And next it comes from Satam, and she says, do not forget the things that made you fail to work with your ex. Focus on the prize, which is the upbringing of the child. Absolutely. Be courteous when you need to be. The child doesn't need to know he or she is toxic. The child needs to see two supportive adults who care and love them. Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. And next tweet comes in from Mark Winning Tips, and it says, today, ladies, please read my comment. We are reading it today, my dear. Now that's an issue, especially those exes who don't remain in the ex zone.
They want to come out.
Hey. They want to make a
They want to
comeback.
use the children as a way of coming back. That's also a very toxic trait.
Exactly. And that is all I had for you on this segment of Our Views. But don't go anywhere, because Sandra Kopp is coming in with our next topic in Our Views too. If you still want to be a part of our conversations, please head on to social media. That's Facebook and Twitter at CTV Uganda. And don't forget to use the hashtag at CTV Sunrise. Don't blink.